Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, Jo Re Mi Fa Sol La Keto. I'm Jere and I do weekly vlogs and weekly meal prep videos to share my keto health journey. Hopefully this provides some of you with some recipe ideas that you can make for the week, as well as inspire some of you to continue on your keto journey from somebody who has lost over 50 pounds this year. I'm gonna make 2 meals this week. I'm not gonna lie, last week I did have a few meals that were not keto. I went out and picked up takeout food, which I know was not good, and that's like a whole other video. So that means that the meal prep for the last week lasted longer than I thought it was going to. With Christmas this weekend, I am going to be eating a different meal on Christmas, and that is gonna be keto. But that does mean that I don't have as many days to meal prep this week, and that's why I'm gonna make 2 meals. So the first meal that I'm going to make are mushroom Swiss and jalapeno turkey burgers. I'm gonna be making that on a chaffle, and there's gonna be some sauteed onions in there as well, but this is one of my favorite meals. Pre-keto, there used to be this really good burger place next to my job, but we used to go there all the time, and one of my favorite burgers to get was a mushroom and Swiss and jalapeno and onion turkey burger. Of course, in the past, we always equated like turkey to being more healthy, and I have made this with just a regular burger before, but my husband really likes turkey burgers, and honestly, this does taste more like what I was used to than if I made it with regular ground beef. I am gonna be making a couple pounds of it so that I can make some for me as well as my husband for the week, so he's pretty excited about this one. The second meal that I'm making this week is Northern Thai style Galaam Oop, and honestly, I have no idea if I'm saying that right. I've made this recipe before, and it's from HelloFresh. And before I was keto, there was a time where I was ordering HelloFresh meals to make every single week. What I loved about them is that it was fresh ingredients, and although everything wasn't keto, it was definitely healthier than going and ordering takeout or going and getting like a lot of processed foods that I was eating before. This recipe is made with steak and cabbage and turmeric, and I think there's some peanuts in there, but it's got a lot of really good fresh ingredients. And of course, I'll be showing you how I make it. This recipe is linked on the HelloFresh website, so I don't really feel bad in sharing that. Like, you don't need to subscribe to HelloFresh for me to share the recipe because it's there. So let's go ahead and get started cooking. Okay, so here are all of the ingredients that I have for both of my recipes. So on this side, we have the turkey burger ingredients. So I have my ground turkey here, and I'm gonna go ahead and spice that up with some crushed garlic, some salt, and I think this is pepper, and some onion powder. Then for the toppings on the burger, I do have my mushrooms and my sliced onions, and then we also have the jalapenos over here. I don't know why I bought 4 jalapenos. I mean, I'm really not gonna eat that many. I only sliced 2, and I can always slice up more if I need them later. For the chaffle part, I do have my ingredients for the chaffle, which is my mozzarella cheese, almond flour, some xanthan gum, and some egg whites. And I did make some chaffles last week, and I made them sweet, but this week it is gonna be a savory chaffle for our turkey burgers. And then on this side, I have all of my ingredients for the Galaam Oop. And again, I'm probably gonna say that wrong like in 5 different times. So here's a picture of the recipe card. So you can see that's what it's supposed to end up as. But we have all of the veggies that go in it. So the veggies, I have cabbage, tomatoes, some shallots, and cilantro to go on top. And our seasonings, which are turmeric, I don't think you can see that, turmeric and cayenne pepper, which yeah, this little guy over here, cayenne pepper, it's hard to see that. There is some peanuts to go on top. And then for the meat, I have ribeye steak. So I'm gonna change this up just a little bit. I think you're supposed to slice sirloin and mix it in and stuff, but I'm gonna cook the ribeyes like I normally would, just in a pan with some butter, and then finish them in the air fryer. I already salted and put pepper on these. I did put a little onion powder on these as well. But that's what I'm gonna do for the meat portion. And on this recipe, I did end up using only like 1 serving of the veggies and doubled the meat side of it, just because I want to make it less carbs. So the first thing that I'm going to do is get all of the veggies started. So right now I have 2 pans on the stove, heating up some oil. And in this pan, we're gonna start the Galaam Oop, and in this pan, we're gonna start our mushrooms. So the first thing we're gonna add on this side are the shallots and our seasonings. So that's sliced shallots, turmeric, and cayenne pepper. And on this side, we're going to add our mushrooms. So I'm gonna let that cook down for a bit. This only needs a couple more minutes until I add the remaining ingredients. We're also gonna add some salt and pepper to the shallots. And then last, I'm gonna add the cabbage and tomatoes. It's getting loud in here, but we're going to let that cook down. And normally I would cook the mushrooms and onions at this, at a spicy, breathing in all the cayenne pepper. But I would normally cook the mushrooms and onions at the same time in a different pan, because mushrooms are very watery, and I don't want my onions to be watery like that. So I'm going to let that cook down, and while these are cooking, I'm going to go ahead and put together the turkey mixture for my turkey burgers. Okay, for my turkey burgers, normally I do try to get a higher fat turkey. I had 1 pound that was in the freezer, and then I bought another pound, so they're a little bit, I think one's like 97.3 and one's 85.15. So I usually add just a little bit of oil, so I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil, trying to make them a little bit more fatty, because we know how, you know, turkey is, it can get really dry. I'm also gonna add some crushed garlic. And then some onion powder and some salt. And honestly, add a lot. Get a lot of flavor. I don't feel like turkey has a ton of flavor to begin with. And then I'm gonna mix all of this up. Oh, I realized I forgot pepper. You definitely don't want to over mix, but I am going to check back on my mushrooms. Well, I'm going to need to wash my hands first, and then I'm going to check back on the mushrooms and the cabbage really quick, and probably start the onions and get the turkey into patties. So my cabbage is done. I took it off the stove. That's how it looks like here. It's all kind of wilted down, and we'll add the steak to that later. Also, my mushrooms were done, so I took those out to put in a container, and then I put the onions in the pan as well. So my husband got this really cool like griddle pan. I've never used this before, but what I was hoping is that I can cook several turkey burgers at the same time on this pan. So we're gonna try it out today and see how that works out. So normally I keep the burgers on there for about 4 minutes each side. So while that's going on, I'm gonna put together all my ingredients for the chaffles. I'm gonna go ahead and do it right here, just so I don't have to keep changing the camera back and forth. Okay, so I have my waffle iron getting hot right here. Right now in this bowl, I have about a half a cup of mozzarella cheese. And then to that, I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of almond flour and a teaspoon of xanthan gum. So it is best to mix your dry ingredients first, especially if you're using xanthan gum. You don't have to use xanthan gum. It does kind of mimic gluten, so that's why I use it. I do feel like it makes my chaffles taste a little bit more bready. But the description below does have my recipe. The recipe in the description makes 2 chaffles, but I'm gonna be making 4 today, so I doubled the recipe. Next, I'm gonna be adding my egg whites. I just buy ones in a carton. It's just way easier for me than trying to use egg whites from an egg and separate it all, and then I have a yolk, and it's like what to do with that. So this is gonna take egg whites for 2 eggs, so that's 6 tablespoons according to this carton. I lost track counting, so hopefully that was 6. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix this up, and it's gonna get thick, so I'm gonna give it just a minute to get thick with the xanthan gum. And meanwhile, I'm gonna go ahead and flip my burgers and mix up the onions a little bit. So I don't know if you can take a peek at my burgers over there, but they turned out really good so far. I used to make them in a pan, and the pan only you can cook like maybe 4 at the same time. The pan also got really sticky, so I'm glad that I can make 6 at once, and then I'll just make the last 2 when those are done. But here you can see the chaffle mixture. Do you see how kind of thick and gloopy that is? The xanthan gum kind of makes it thicker and not as watery. I'm gonna go ahead and get this into the waffle maker. It is a good idea to get the mixture around the edges as much as you can. They will expand some, but usually they don't expand very much. So if you want actual circles, you gotta spread it out a bit. Okay, so I feel like my onions are pretty much done. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the heat, and I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. I forgot to mention with the mushrooms, I did end up adding some garlic powder, onion powder, and salt a little bit later in the cooking process. So those should be nice and seasoned. This will be seasoned, and then my turkey burgers should be almost done. So I went ahead and took the turkey burgers off the griddle iron over there, and they turned out really good. I just checked the internal temperature to see when they're done, and then I put the other 2 on there. These onions are now done, and I can put them aside to use for the turkey burgers for later. And the chaffles are done. So the steam has stopped, so let's see how they look. Ooh. I feel like I say that every time, but we're gonna take these out, put them on a cooling rack to cool down, and also the cooling rack does help so they don't, you know, kind of steam on there and they stay crispy. But here's one a little bit more close up. These edges are definitely very crispy, but it is hard. I don't know if you can hear that with all the burgers going on over there, but looking forward to eating this with a burger. So the last thing that we have to do is make the ribeye steaks. So that really shouldn't take that long, and honestly I don't have to really watch it very closely. I'm gonna try it on this griddle, but I'm gonna wait till these turkey burgers are done. I might have had the back burner a little bit too high, so there's some stuff burning there, and I definitely don't wanna like smoke up the place. So I'm just gonna use this front one. Okay, so I didn't really think this through so well. It's probably not the best to cook multiple items on the same griddle. Things do kind of stick, so you kind of have to wipe it off and get it off while it's still hot to get it to work. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and put this steak on this front griddle part. I flipped it over. One part has the griddle marks and the other side is flat. I think my husband got this at Costco. I'm not really sure, but he came home all excited, and I thought I'd try it. So that sounded pretty good. I'm gonna let these cook for a few minutes on each side. I just really wanna get a good crust on it, and then I will probably put it in the air fryer to finish off so I don't burn the outside or anything. So I thought I was recording and I wasn't, but what I went ahead and did was put my turkey with my toppings on it, so the mushrooms and onions on top, put a slice of Swiss cheese on top, put it in the microwave for about 30 seconds so I can get the cheese melted, and it acts as a glue and holds all my toppings so all of my mushrooms and onions aren't falling everywhere. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this on top of my chaffle. Ooh, just a little bit of cheese. It didn't come, I want all of it. And then we can put the rest of our toppings. So it depends on what condiments that you like. Obviously mustard is very keto friendly, so I'm gonna use a lot of mustard. I like mustard. So this is a no sugar added ketchup. I mean, ketchup still kind of has a lot of carbs in it, so you want to be careful on how much you put, but I do want just a little bit. Then lastly, I'm going to add my jalapeños on top. You can definitely grill these, but for some reason, like the crunch, I really like a fresh jalapeños. So as many as you want. I love spicy and I want a jalapeno in every bite. There we go. We're going to get that on top, and then let's chop that up. I mean, you can kind of see it now, but I want to chop it in half. Okay, and here we go. There is our burger. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be so good. Okay, so I swear that steak is so loud back there, but I want to go ahead and give this turkey burger a quick try. So here we are. Ooh. That is so good. It really does remind me of that turkey burger that I used to have in the past. The Chaffles, you can't even tell that, you know, you're not eating bread. Jalapenos are a little hot, but I really like that. So if you try these, I don't have a recipe below. Really, it's turkey burgers. Add your toppings. You can make any kind of burger that you want, really. But I do love mushrooms, onions, Swiss cheese, and jalapenos on my burgers. You could also add bacon if you really wanted to, so you could really make Chaffles and make these burgers your own. In the back here, I do have my steak. I added some butter on top and a little bit of garlic, and I'm gonna flip them at some point. I think they might actually finish on the griddle. I'll check the temperatures in just a minute here, but I don't have time right now to try the Galaam Oop, but I'm gonna come back in a little bit later and show you how that turned out. So I had to go pick up my daughter, but I did wanna try the Galaam Oop or however you pronounce this today. So I did put the peanuts on top now. I think you were supposed to do it with the cabbage at some point, but I put the cabbage and cilantro on top, but we're gonna go ahead and take a bite of this. Here we are. Actually, that's pretty good. I think it could use a little bit of salt. But the cabbage has the turmeric flavor. It's a little spicy with the cayenne in there. I like the crunch of the peanuts. Honestly, I only had a little bit of peanuts left, which I think is fine. I don't feel like you need a ton, just a few for crunch on top. I didn't put too much cilantro. I don't know about you. I feel like it can be overpowering. I do like it, but not like too much. And I know some of you out there, you feel like it tastes like soap or something, but that's not what it does for me. But it is something that I've tried before, and that I do like. I like being able to switch things up a little bit. Like I haven't had this in a while. I haven't had like a turmeric anything in a long time, so I like being able to add some additional like spices to my dishes. Like I mentioned before, the recipe will be linked in the description below if you'd like to give it a try. Okay, that's all that I have for today. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the little bell icon to get a notification every time I post a new video. I will see you next week. Thanks. Bye.